Good evening, and thanks for joining tonight's TI Technology webinar hosted by Texas Instruments, where tonight we're going to go back to school with the TI-84 Plus family, learn some new things, and also review. My name is Mike Houston, and I'm the moderator for this event. I teach algebra and calculus near Pittsburgh, where I use TI technology to make tough-to-teach, tough-to-learn concepts accessible to all my students. Tonight we're really lucky to be joined by our two panelists, Ruth Casey and John LeMaster. Ruth lives in Kentucky, where she taught math in grades 8 through 12, a T-Cube instructor, textbook author, and former member of the NCTM Board of Directors. Ruth specializes in grades 7 through 12 mathematics, instructional technology, and professional development for math teachers. During the 2018-19 school year, Ruth will be providing training and classroom support as she continues her work with teachers in Gear Up schools and other T-Cubed in-school systemic programs. Ruth, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. Good to be here.
And John has been a part of the T-Cube family since 1993. He presents annually at conferences, writes math activities, and provides feedback to Texas Instruments on software and products. He teaches math at Purdue University, Fort Wayne. His passion is to empower students with technology to mathematize their world. John, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
We're expecting a large crowd, so your audio is muted. Feel free to send any questions to Ruth or John using the Q&A window on the right side of the screen. We'll also be using the chat window to send general messages. One extra note, in that chat window, you have the ability to send to different people. The best send to option is all participants, which will make sure that everyone sees it, whatever that chat may be. So again, please feel free to use that chat window, but please send your chats to all participants. We hope you don't have any audio issues tonight, but in the event that you do, try selecting Communicate from the WebEx menu and choose Audio Broadcast. At this point, John is going to discuss our agenda.
Thank you, Mike. Ruth and I are so glad you joined us tonight. It's that time of year when we see those friendly back-to-school reminders, so it's fitting to pitch that as the theme for our first webinar for the 2018-19 season. We're going to show you how to enhance your TI-84 Plus family classroom with TI-Connect CE software, which is a free download, and TI-SmartView CE software. And if you don't have one yet, you can get a 90-day free trial. We have some math activities and explorations for both middle and high school grade levels, and we'll discuss how you can leverage hands-on activities in your classroom to enhance discussion. Finally, we'd like to show how you can continue getting support after our webinar is over through online resources, such as the ones listed here. And Ruth, can you share the expected outcomes?
Sure. Thanks, John and Mike. We're going to explore TI-Connect CE, the connectivity software. John mentioned it is free software. We'll look at how to find it, how to get it to your classroom, and how to use it in your classroom to connect your calculators, computers, and connect your students with each other. We're going to look at some features of the TI-SmartView CE emulator and those online resources we'll explore. In addition to that, we're going to look at some apps. Transformation Graphing app is going to take a starring role near the beginning. And we're going to see how our TI-84 Plus and the SmartView CE together in the classroom, along with the TI-Connect software, can really enhance what's going in our math classrooms.
Thanks so much, Ruth. And John, Ruth, it's all yours. Feel free to share your screen.
As we continue, we mentioned we're going to look at the TI software for the TI-84 family, not just the 84 Plus, but also the 84 Plus Silver Edition, 84 plus C and 84 plus CE. So TI Connect and TI-SmartView. We're also going to check out where are those online resources that we've been talking about. So we'll look at a browser and we'll see some of that happening. There are tutorials, online on-demand webinars. You're in one now. If you didn't register via the education site at TI, maybe you found it in an email or a tweet from someplace, we'll be sure and review where to find all of those. Okay, so as we get started, I'm going to take you to my home screen, and we're going to be looking at education.ti.com. So there is the main screen. Oh, look what I saw. Let me go back to that. We have a TI-84 plus CE graphing calculator. So go to this location at education.ti.com. When a TI-84 plus calculator, when you enter there, it'll take you to the place where you find out how to connect, how to get in with social networking and TI, and enter not just a TI-84 plus CE is one of the things you might enter, but there's something else. I'm not going to tell. All right, so that's a splash screen. We've mentioned activities, so I'm just clicking on the right here on activities, 84 activity centrals, where we might be focusing some of our attention. I can also find that under the activities tab. There's 84 activity central. John will be talking about that some more as we get started. Just to the left of activities, you see downloads. I'm going to revisit this place in just a minute, but I just want to go ahead and point it out while I'm here. So there's downloads. Okay, what do you want to download? Do you want to download some software, some things for your calculator? I have launched what's called TI Connect CE software. It's free communication software. It's for the 84 plus family of calculators, 84 plus Silver Edition, and the 2 color models. I have 3 calculators right now, 3 84s plugged in. The computer that I'm working on only has one USB port, so I have a USB hub attached to it, and so I have some more cables, and I have those 3 calculators showing as well. Right now I'm in what's called the screen capture workspace, so I'm going to take a screen capture of this calculator. Say my students have been doing an activity and I want to see what's your screen, let's share it. So they bring up their calculator, we plug in, and instantly we have a capture of what's coming from their calculator. You can make it larger, you can save that, you can put it in documents for student artifact work, share it, send it to yourself, tweet about it. Just all kinds of ways of connecting, not only within your classroom, but around the world? Sure. I'm going to get a screen capture from this next one. I haven't had a chance to read the chat, see where everybody's from, so I just went, world? Okay, so this is another calculator. In the chat window, tell me something that you notice. How are these different? Got 2 screens there. How are they different? Great observations there. Keep them coming. If you haven't had a chance to read up and down in the chat, see what our classmates are saying tonight. All right. So we were focusing on the screen because that's where I grabbed your attention right there. Let's look at it. Yes, they have different color borders. That's a format option on the 84 plus CE. And how do I know that's a CE? Well, over on the left, it's showing me connected calculators. One is an 84 plus CE with OS, operating system 5.3. And one says operating system 5.2. So it's telling me a little bit about it. Okay, so on the one that's 5.3, I'm going to take another screenshot so that you can see what has been graphed. A student would bring it up, I'd plug it in, and I'd go, wow, what did you graph? Okay, I have a piecewise function. right. Where did I lose it? It's a piecewise function. Let me scroll it up so you can see that screen. You might go, it's kind of scrunched. I can't really see it all. So on that calculator, my student would go to the home screen. They'd pull up their Y variables out of a shortcut menu, and we'd see what this function is. Okay, and we'll, when we're in this emulator software, we'll do that. I don't want to take our time right now because I did want to go ahead and show what the other calculator, the one that hasn't been updated. Oh, and how do you know your operating system number? So here is the next one. The first one that I did was the most recent operating system. It showed a piecewise function, and as I said, we'll show how to get all of that displayed on the home screen. And down here, it's not a piecewise function. That's why we had the separate graphs. So on my calculator, if I press any of my AD4s, if I press second plus for memory, and then 1 for about. So let's see what second plus 1 looks like. Second plus 1, I have 5.3.0. Let me do another second plus 1. All right, here's another second plus 1. 5.2.2. Guess what? Neither of those is the latest operating system. So how do you check? Second plus 1, whether it's a CE or 84 plus Silver Edition, works the same way. I'm going to plug in an 84 plus Silver Edition. There it is. G'do, 84 plus Silver Edition. It's my black and white calculator. If I go second plus 1 on that, I'll take a screenshot. There it is. It's 2.55 MP, and that does happen to be the latest operating system for my Silver Edition. Okay, so you might say, well, if they're not the latest operating system, how do you get them updated? Okay, so this is when I'm going to go back to the website, education.ti.com, under Downloads. I'll just focus on one model for now. If I go 84 plus CE apps and updates and click on that, takes me to the screen that says upgrade to 5.3. Okay. I'm gonna click on this in just a sec. Instead of just clicking on it and going on, which is what I'm really tempted to do, look on down. Tells you what calculators it's for, tells you what you need, upgrades, TI Connect, SmartView, and then down under the words Rover support, it says click here to find out more details about our latest resource. Don't overlook that spot. It's a nice place to go and see how these updates can affect what's going on with your 84 pluses. Okay? So I am going to actually click on Update Now. When I click on Update Now, it says you want to update your 84 plus CE graphing calculator. Well, sure. That's what got me started here in the first place. What about CE software, SmartView software? If you don't even have it yet, if you haven't had a chance to get the trial version, you could go ahead and click there and it'll send you some more, it'll take you to a place where you can download the trial version and use it free for 90 days. I'm not going to talk about the hub now. That's coming up in some subsequent webinars. I'll go ahead and click on Next. First thing it tells me, thank you, how to check your Connect software, because we need to be able to connect from computer to calculator. So here we go. You can slide down. If you already don't have TI Connect CE, you can download it here, Mac and Windows. If you need to check which version, directions are right there on that screen. I already have it. So I'm going to move on down. The thing that compelled me to go here and look, 84 plus CE operating system and apps. For people familiar with the 84 plus CE in the early stages, you might say, apps bundle, what's that about? And I'll just briefly describe. It's an apps bundle. It updates the operating system and the companion apps on your calculator. So why might that be of interest to me? I'm used to connecting one calculator to another and sending an operating system, or just downloading and installing an operating system. With the latest version of the CE, if I wanted to use some of the companion apps and they haven't been updated along with the update to the operating system, I wouldn't be able to do it. Okay, they wouldn't be compatible. So by downloading the operating system apps bundle, I get it all at once. It'll do it all at once. So I'm going to save this on my desktop, someplace easy to find. What's it called and where did I put it? Oh, it's already there. Okay. And how do we check our operating system? Second, plus for memory, then 1 for about. Okay, so let's see what we have. Let's look at my desktop. There's a thing that says 84 plus apps bundle. All right. What do I do with it then? In TI Connect, once it's on my computer someplace, okay, couple of ways I could do it. I know both of these top two needed a new operating system. I could just right-click on it, and it would say Send OS Bundle to Calculator. Whoa. I could do the same on this one. I could also click on Calculator Explorer. When I click on Calculator Explorer, now I have the option of sliding it over. Grab it, put it over there, drag and drop. So there it is, Apps Bundle. Okay, so how am I connected? My calculators are connected via the standard USB to mini USB, the cable that comes with your calculator. All right. Okay, watch what happens as I move this. Oh, copy, copy. So once it says copy, I can drop it. Any of those places it says copy, I can drop it. Okay, and it's going to give me a pop-up. I have the option of all connected calculators. So that's going to update the operating system and all of the apps. I'll just pick, no, actually, I won't. I'll send. So as it's doing it, it's sending to any of the calculators that are connected. Notice it doesn't scroll all the way through one, send the operating system, and then send the apps. It's doing all three of them at once. And if I had 5 or 8 or however many USB ports I could get connected, plugged in, it would do them together, and they'd scroll through like that. All right. So as long as you have a TI-84 Plus, black and white model, or the color model, you can use TI Connect CE to update your calculators. Okay, I went boo-doo-doop. It has updated the operating system on each of the, all 3 of the calculators that were plugged in, and now it's sending the companion apps, all of the apps that go with the latest operating system. Okay. I'm going to take a breath here. TI Connect software at the top has a help. Within that, there's online help, there's a PDF, and there's check for updates. So if you're not sure if your TI Connect CE software is the latest, you can do about, or you can just go ahead and check for upgrades and notifications from within the software.
Hey, Ruth.
I also, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Would you mind just kind of minimizing that one box that you and I talked about earlier on the right-hand side of your screen?
Thank you. That was
Thanks.
the chat. I was reading some questions, and it's not my job right now. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, the big yellow rectangle, gray rectangle. All right. So one of the options that I demonstrated for putting files on your calculator was to open the Calculator Explorer, drag it over there. Another option is up here, you can send from computer to calculator using this selection, the computer with an arrow pointing out, because it's going to go from the computer. Okay. You also have the kind of standard menus up at the top. So it's working all the way through all of the companion apps. So what I don't want to do is just update somebody's operating system on their 84 plus CE. I want to be sure and update all of their apps along with it. All right, I'm going to let that work through a little bit as I go back to here. This was at Downloads. I went to 84 plus CE in Apps. When I chose Update, it lets me get TI Connect CE software, the latest version of that. If you have CE and you need to update it, you can also find out and get it from here. Okay, moving on down, TI-SmartView CE software for the 84 plus graphic family. So any of my 84 pluses, there's the SmartView software. Once you download it, install it, you can use it free for 90 days. And after that, you just say, how do I get this? What's the best way? How can I use this as an instructional tool, and how do I get it to myself? Okay, so all of these are updated. I could check here, but I'm confident they are all updated. I could go back and get screen captures and compare some things. I wanted to go ahead and remind us that I can plug in other calculators, another 84 plus, and let me plug in 84 plus silver. I have mixed models of calculators in my classroom. All right, so I'm going to just get a screen capture from my silver edition, so I have to move to the screen capture. Okay, if you've already been using TI-SmartView, and remember that's not what I'm using right now, I'm using TI Connect. If you've already been using TI-SmartView, you can get an upgrade to that. You've already purchased it, installed it, you have a license number somewhere. If you visit that place we just saw about TI-SmartView, you can download it and update it. If you have any difficulties with that update, you just click 1-800-TI-CARES, call 1-800-TI-CARES and let them help you. All right, so there we have a screen capture from my 84 plus silver edition. And I'm going to get a screen capture from an 84 plus CE. All right, so we can compare those two. Both of these happen to be running the Transformation Graphing app. Okay, up there we see Y1 is, and we see the parameters A, B, and C. We can change those. Accomplishes the same thing, looks a little bit different. I have color, I have more pixels, I have more resolution, can do some other things with it. So that's the Transformation Graphing app. Okay, and that's TI Connect CE, how to get stuff from your calculator to your computer, from your computer to your calculator. We looked at updating the operating system and apps. What else would you need to update? Or what else? Why else might you use TI Connect? I might use TI Connect to get screen captures, to promote some discussion in my classroom, to share student work. I might use TI Connect if I have files that I want to share. Okay, so I'm going to just switch to my other software, and when I say other software, it's going to be my my TI-SmartView CE for the 84 plus family. It's for the family because you have a pull down, and you can have this be our silver edition. It's switching models there. It's not going to show the same screen because they don't share information. It just displays it. Okay, I am going to go back to the 84 plus CE. Often I'm in a classroom where the students might be working on a mixed batch. Some of them have 84 plus silver edition, some of them have color, and so I try to model both of those. But there are sometimes when I want to use the enhanced features of the SmartView software, just so I can talk about things like, what do you notice about the graph that's in blue or green or red? So it helps me talk about the visualization in the front of the room in a larger screen. Okay, that happens to be, exploring linear factors and then the product of linear factors. What might you expect if I multiplied them together? So it's a great question to ask students. Maybe turn one off at a time. What will the graph look like? And then say, what if I multiplied algebraically y1 plus times y2 times y3? Or if you're not to third degree yet, Okay, just a couple of linear factors. So students, what would you think might happen with that? And would it be true if I changed this to negative 4 or something? So exploring and making the best use of that. I want to do a couple more things while I'm here. All right, actually I'm going to go down here and just go because I can't stand it. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to turn on Y4. What is the product of those? Okay, what's the product algebraically and what's the product graphically? All right. So, ready? Do you have an image? Do you have a picture of what it's going to be when we graph all of those? Okay. What do they have in common? What happened? And is it just because of the 3 that I picked? Would that always happen? What if I put another linear factor in and multiplied them together? What if I only had 2? So what do you notice? What do you think is going to happen? How can we change it? So great exploration. In the classroom, I might hand off the mouse to a student and let them change some numbers because I'm using a USB mouse. If I have an interactive whiteboard, just have them come up and type some things. All right, so that's some stuff in y equals, just exploring. And right now I'm going to clear all of those out. It wouldn't be very difficult to go clear, 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 and take care of it. But what if I had some other stuff going on? What if, for example, I had, let me get something else here. What if I had this, nope, not that. What if I had, what I want to do is recall a graph database to quickly change what is going to be graphed. All right, I really want to recall graph database 8. Ooh, how'd she get it? How do you put it in there? How do you, that's another webinar. Okay, or by the time the webinar comes around, you might go, I can just look that up and find out about it. So here's what I wanted to do. I'm recalling a graph database to change a bunch of stuff. Okay. I might have said, what do you think graph database 8 is going to do? And if you predicted it would do that which it did, wow, good for you. Yeah. Okay, you looked at my notes. So what that did, it changed the mode from function graphing to parametric graphing. It put some equations in y equals, and it set a window, and it just graphed them nicely for me. So that's a graph database. It's a calculator thing that I can use, not just in the emulator software, but on handhelds. If I wanted students to explore this or some other group of functions that we're graphing, we could share graph database files, send them to their calculator by using TI-Connect, and then they have it on their calculator to do exploring with. Okay, so files sharing from computer to calculator, calculator to computer, and exploring what's going on there. All right, now let's say I wanted that other one that we were doing because I saw a pop-up question about it. It was graph database 3. Just put this back in here. Nope, that wasn't it. It was, store graph database 3. That's not exactly what I meant to do. I want to recall graph database, something else. Recall, showing you where they are. They're in the store menu. Recall graph database 2. All right. And this isn't the one that we were looking at before, but somebody said, how do you get the y equals in here? If you're not accustomed to the new shortcut menus, alpha, and then trace. I didn't press alpha. Alpha, yep, let me go here. Y equals, I got in a hurry. I was so excited about the graph database that I was sharing. Alpha, trace. It's my pop-up Y variables, so that's how I entered that expression with their product. All right. My time's about up, but I do want to go ahead and have us look very quickly at the Transformation Graphing app. Again, it's going to be covered more in subsequent webinars. Some of them will focus specifically on apps. So apps, transformation, down near the bottom. Okay, it doesn't look like it really did anything. That's my home screen. That was there. Okay, and when I press y equals, oh, there's some stuff going on. Okay, I notice to the left of Y1, it kind of says the play pause kind of thing. It also says across the top, well, at the top, transformation graphing app. Ta-da! It's announced I'm there, and I could move up and over to the right to quit the app. Okay, if you've used the transformation graphing app before, it still does the things that you used to be able to do. On my 84 Plus Silver, it still behaves exactly the same way. If I want to explore parameters of a quadratic, vertex form, standard form, however you want to look at it, you type in A, alpha A times, and then you go ahead and do that. And I could do that here. It would work the same way. But a new feature, we want to be sure and show you, even if I am not using a handheld CE or my students aren't using one, we haven't been able to upgrade those models yet. In the software, I want to take advantage of all the features that I can. So Y1, I might want to put in linear. So I'm scrolling through a menu of preset functions. I like it. Okay, so those are there. I have vertex form. Here I have factored form of a quadratic. There I have standard form of a quadratic. I'll just move down to OK. Choose that. Let's get a happy window. Oh my goodness, I must have something somewhere else in Y somewhere. Oh, goodness, I pressed graph and all of those things showed up. I bet I have hidden something from myself down in Y0. Sure, let's get rid of that. Let's go back to the graph. Okay. I want to show you what it looks like without the large screen at the right. So there it is, just the calculator. And I want to show you that because sometimes when I have the large screen at the right, it's difficult for me to explain what I'm pressing. So I really want to go to Setup. So I'm going to press Graph, and that's going to take me into Setup. All right, and this is where I can change. If this were the parent function, that would be a 1 and a 0 and a 0. And there we go. That's the transformation graphing app. Down at the bottom, A is the variable that has the equal sign activated, so I can use my left and right arrow to increase and decrease the value of A. If I want to change one of the others, I use my up or down arrow, and then left and right. Okay, and if I just want to jump to, let's say I want C to be 3, I can also just type 3, and there it goes. So that's transformation graphing in a very quick amount of time. Okay, on the 84 Plus Silver Edition, the black and white, you have the transformation graphing app. Works just about the same. You have to type in all of the, how long does it take? Not very long. You get to type in the equation the way you want it to be, and then A, B, and C will change in the same way. Okay, so later webinars will have more about looking at apps, how to use them, activities that you can use with them. John's going to do some more with some things as we go along. All right, a reminder, we're covering a lot of ground in a short amount of time. There's a recording of this, and there are companion documents. John will tell you more about his companion documents that have step-by-step of some of the things that we've been showing you. All right, I think right now I will remind us, education.ti.com, there's activities. Professional development will get us to webinars, and downloads is where you can go to get the needed updates. If you have the non-color version, you would go down here, check for updates to the operating system and the apps. Okay, So I know there are lots of questions, and it's easier for when I'm trying to learn something new for me to actually do it rather than watch somebody else. But remember, you can review the recording and practice at your leisure. Maybe once you have the software downloaded, you can try some of the things that we've been demonstrating. So, on to you, John.
Oh, thank you very much. Great. And I have the ball. I am going to share my screen. And I really appreciate the fantastic chatting going on, the questions. So you keep those coming so we can kind of tailor this to your needs. You had mentioned in one of the chat questions about the shortcut menus kind of got discussed. I would just like to point out that if I press the alpha button and climb up to the y equal, I'm going to see some shortcuts there that might be worth peeking at. This is also true for the 84. Now what I have shown here, this is where the y variables are. I'm using the TI-SmartView emulator software, which has some wonderful features for you, as Ruth had shared, that I'd like to kind of also make highlight some. And one of the things that might be helpful just to remind you is, if you're like me, you want to follow along with your calculator, and that might get more frustrating because, as you can tell, we only have an hour. So the recording will come, and then it's much easier to follow with the recording. One of the things that the emulator has that's worth showing here is the emulator state. And so if you load emulator state, you must have had saved at one point. You can have as many calculators as you want. And so I'm going to hit load. And your question, Michael, about clearing the memory, there's ways to reset the calculators where you can choose whether or not you want all of the apps wiped or if you want only the random access memory wiped. So it's up to you. You get to decide. And I'll share with you where to find that. You go to second memory, and you can reset. That's number 7. And then you can decide if you want the apps, the archive, or the whole thing. So you get to choose at that point. Okay. Now, when I put my graphical database, my emulator state in, it's sort of like a graphical database, only it's only for the computer version of the software. And what's nice to share with folks who haven't seen this is the ways you can use the emulator, but I also want to do it in the context of if you just have an 84 or an 83, you can do some of these activities. So it kind of meets a wider audience. When I press my y equals, I've just got a happy little rational function in there, and I'd like to look at him from multiple perspectives. And one nice way to do that is to explore it with the table. And so we'll go to second. Don't type that in, just look at mine. And second window, which is second table set. And it shows by factory settings to have these both on auto, and it starts at 0 and goes by 1s. Well, that's nice to make sure I have that in good shape. And if I scroll on the first column, I can go up or down. If I scroll on the second column, I can go down, but if I go up, I actually see the formula. And so I put these multiple perspectives going on with just even this one screen. But up here on the emulator, this is very handy, it has a view cubed. And so if I press the view cubed button, it toggles on and off. And up here in the corner on the toolbar, the view cubed is under my control whether I wish to display it or not. And this refresh button over here on the far panel enables me to control that. So I'll hit refresh, And now I have not just the table, but a graph and the formula. And my students really appreciate seeing the formula with the table if they're looking for the domain. Singularities show up, and it's kind of nice. If we were going to look at this graphically, well, let's notice that there's a problem at 1, but you look at what we have is the graph looks like there's no problem at 1, and that's why is that? Well, we have a standard window. And I might want more than one screen showing. I want to share with you this little camera up here. It takes pictures, and I can get my screen capture. And so I can get more than just 4 at a time. I can get as many as I wish. And so I have this go -10 to 10. What's happening when I press graph is I'm going to trace and land right on the x equals 0, and just press the right arrow once. And if I capture that, you might notice that number showed up in the window. It's the trace step. And that is a very ugly number. So we're not going to get trace steps to actually land as the integer. And and thanks about the reset question you pointed out. That will be something I'm showing later, too. So we have preset windows to make this friendly. And if I press zoom, one of the nice things about a decimal trace step is that it will get to an integer. And voila, the whole. And let's trace on it. Now I'm walking by point 1s, and my screen capture helps me kind of get all the screens I want to collect so I can see one after another. And what did this do? On this calculator, the 84 plus CE, the resolution is such that it made the window -6.6 to 6.6. So that's kind of helpful to know. And that's a distance on my window of 13.2. And if you remember, this one was a distance from -10 to 10 of 20. And when I look at my trace step, I divided 13.2 by 0.1. That's 132. Well, let's just have some fun here. And let's see what happens if I divide 20 by 132. I get some deja vu. So what's going on with my window is that I'm controlling my trace step with my x-min and my x-max. And that's really helpful. Now, if you have a TI-84 non-color, you can actually show that also on here. These give you all the versions of the past. And if you wanted to do the same thing, you'd have, instead of 132, it would be 94. And you'd still have the same kind of thing. You'd get a friendly window. And you can trace on it. And I just really love friendly windows. It brightens up the math classroom, and it helps my math not be so scary. Now, there's also some fun I can do with this rational function with the table if I choose to change this to ask. Everything I've shared with you can be done on any 84. You can do it with the 84 plus 83 even so far, because we're really just using some built-in features. Oh, you had asked about XRES, and that's a great question and great answer, Ruth. It's the caffeine indicator of the calculator. So when I get wired on a Jolt Cola and a half, I'm probably not going to have the most precise graph, but I'm going to be faster. So if that XRES just cooks it up and adds more caffeine. The ask on the independent, let's see what that does. We're going to go to the second table, and we know that 1 was not a good thing. And if I want to go into a calculus classroom and look at a limit exploration, the table can actually help me not have to be confined to going by 1, 2, 3, 4, but I can do anything that I choose here. because remember we asked independent. Now you may wonder, wait a minute, how did I get to be -2? But it's nice to highlight things because -2 itself was fake news, and we want to make sure that we see the whole full meal deal, which is worth noting that if I didn't refresh here, I can refresh the table here, and just refreshing one of these windows changes all of them. I can go to my home screen, and you may have seen this, may have not. I'm going to make sure we kind of review some things. If I go to alpha trace and hit the Y1, that's my little shortcut. I can put in those values on the table on the home screen. And this is fun. Just climb up to the history, and to pluck the fruit, you have to press Enter. And then I will get down there, and I'll add some more precision. So I can build the table on the home screen as well as the second graph. Eventually I'll be rounding. But if I wanted the home screen to show here, that's not going to happen because these are built in. But you, again, might take advantage that you have the history, the screen capture. So really, there's no constraints on what screen I want to control to show. I just want to put anything on my home screen there. What's also nice is this button here makes things big or small in terms of the display. I'm going to press that. That's a toggle. And we have a no longer the large display showing. And yet these now, if I had a PowerPoint up and I didn't want and only wanted my little calculator, it gives me a lot more control. Not only that, oh, I have a Word document sitting here. What would happen if I decided to just grab and drag? So all of this can be even additionally part of your presentation if you wanted to. I can grab any screen, even this one. Let's just do it. And there she is. So this is very handy if you're looking, in fact, at handouts or just adding more screen real estate to being able to display things. Okay, so we've seen the table. There's a cute little parabola here in my y equal, and I'd like to explore him. And I also want to make sure I'm in a window. I'm going to show the window here because I really would like to have a vertical line on my I think I'll have him no longer displaying, so it's a prettier screen. So I'd really like to have a decimal window on here. And that decimal window is handy because if I want a vertical line, there is an inequality app you can look at which would enable you to put it in your y equal menu. It has an x equal menu. That's not really something I can bring up right now because of the time, but I want to share with you that you have a way to get that vertical line, say, on the axis of symmetry through the draw menu. And the draw menu can be handy when you know that there are two ways it behaves. One way is if you're from the graph screen, and that's interactively. I'm going to go to the graph screen, and I'll go second draw, and there's my vertical. And when I now look at that, I can use my left and right arrow, and remember the window was a friendly one because these x's are increasing by 0.1, by 1/10. So I can get it right onto that integer vertex and get the axis of symmetry. Now, that's second program. Thank you, Ruth. Good job. And one of the things that's nice to note is this can be done more than just, well, where else do you might think you would use such a thing where you can have that drawing interactively, that moving vertical line. Open up the chat there, and any thoughts? Oh, David, yeah, functions, yeah, finding the vertical line test, excellent. And all of this, you've seen, is on compatible with all of the older models of the 84. It's the family. One of the fun things about my I have to hit enter to be done. I could have changed the style if I wanted to, and I'm going to quit. And I'd like to point out that you cannot do that very nicely when you have the standard window, because it doesn't walk by point ones. But look what happens if I go to my draw menu off of the home screen. Now I can just put that in there, and it'll graph a vertical line. The default color is blue, but if I went to watch this, the VARs menu has goodies behind it, and I can get a color if I wanted to. I put a comma in. We'll go some green, and now I can do it both ways. So the interactive way from the graph screen, and then command-driven where you have it either in a program or on the home screen. So there's one other thing we can do with our quadratic that involves the table, and that's sort of fun with the making this auto and the dependent ask, because many teachers say, well, what could I do with that? And I may want to change my view cube so that it doesn't show everything, but I think I'm fine. I'm going to just go to second graph here, and you'll look at the Y's. No longer are they showing unless I ask for them to show. So it's sort of like it enables me to be a contestant on, say, a game show like the Wheel of Fortune, and ask Vanna White to turn over the tiles, and then I can, well, how would I use this? You can use this again on the old 84 and the 84 CE. I might say, now you have to match some ordered pairs. So can you type another? Or I've got the visualization of the line of symmetry. Can you type another, call out another ordered pair, and on the parabola, and you know, you then get that kind of discussion going, and how, you know, and oh, so -2, -5. Let's see, and so that's what the ask dependent does. We can do just a few things more with this. We've shown a lot of the SmartView features there. The keep press the history is also very handy. I'm going to go to my home screen and clear things. And if I press the S button up here, this has tracked everything that I've been doing. And so there's a little audit trail. If I choose to have that on or off, I can clear out what's there so it's not too congested. And we mentioned reset defaults. That's sometimes called a soft reset because it doesn't clear out equations or data, but it just makes it look like it came fresh out of the box in a soft way. So let's see that again. Second, memory was where we went. And here's my reset. And I could have also just pressed the 7. And I need the defaults and then 2 for reset. This is another way you can see your operating system. So if you've got a classroom set of calculators, you know, I ask my students, who are you going to call, you know, to reset, you know, second mem 722, you know, that's an easy way to just get everything happy. But what does it do? Well, the y equals did not get wiped. Here, this has not been refreshed, but these were on. Now they're off, and all the plots are off. The window's back to standard, no longer decimal. The zoom, the second format, all of this is highlighted on the left. And then finally the mode is also highlighted. All right, that I understand. Your brain is full. You know, I have a lot going on in this. And we wanted to try to, you know, not leave you away feeling empty, chock full of stuff. And your key press history is simply this S button up here, you had asked. So you just press the S button and you can get that on or off. It's kind of like a Superman suit, but S for key press. So resetting defaults makes things very nicely. There's a few more things we can show you, but we have some bonus documents going on for you when you've heard this in the chat. You'll be sent that give you some more activities. And one of them, we won't have time to do the whole thing, but if I wanted a spline with through 2-3 and with a slope of 4/5, you could certainly follow this handout step by step if you had your calculator. And so these are really very well-laden in terms of details. So you can go slow at your own pace. And we wanted you to have something for the end to take with you. I think we're ready to wrap up. What we want to make sure some of the loose ends are tied in. Someone asked about test preparation, and that there is a link that I put in the chat. You can find out what is allowed for SAT and ACT. And you also have the activity area where you can get classroom activities and scroll there, and you'll see lots of great development there. One other thing to keep the learning going, and that is if you go to Help and go to this area, you can see your latest SmartView version. But look at this. Online Help gives you a, it pops up a window that has the online details on taking this, so you can kind of work with graphs. You can really not, this is all the calculator, and then keep scrolling because you can get to the CE and the TI Connect. If you'd like to say, hey, I want to know more about TI Connect, or I want to see that again, or SmartView CE, scroll that pop-up, and you'll get a lot of information. It will have, also in our slides are our emails. So we are very happy to follow up with you if you have specific questions. And Mike, I think it's about time to say thank you. And I'm just really thrilled that so many of you came tonight and you were so active. So I really appreciate your participation.
Thanks so much, John and Ruth. So as promised, in the chat window, please find links. One link is for the certificate of attendance for tonight, and the other link is for the documents which John was just referencing, and John and Ruth spent a lot of time on these documents. They are very, very detailed, so please do check those documents out. If you're watching this on demand, go ahead and copy that link into your favorite browser to receive your certificate. After the webinar, if you have any post-webinar questions, as John mentioned, I know John and Ruth are both available and accessible by email, so feel free to send them an email. And if it's not pertaining to something specific to this webinar, feel free to give us a call at 1-800-TI-CARES or drop us an email, ti-cares@ti.com. So thanks so much, John and Ruth, for everything you shared tonight. It was really exciting to sort of get back in the grind here of going back to school, and to see so many people that joined us tonight, and the chat window as active as it was. So thanks so much specifically to John and Ruth, but everyone else also for joining us tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Great way to start off the season.
I echo that. Thanks so much. Have a great night, and we'll be talking soon. Good night, all.